person because your brain is trying to trick you into having a baby. Let me explain. When a woman has an orgasm, a flood of oxytocin comes out. And the person that has inspired that level of pleasure becomes the focus of her affection. And when you put yourself in that position too early, where you can't recognize danger signs or red flags, that's going to be the problem. Because oxytocin is.
So Crystalline is back, and I am very, very excited. I'm just happy to see she's back. I should have put in the headphones before. They're now on there. That had nothing to do at all with what we will be talking about today. I just wanted to shout her out because she's back. The video looks amazing. The everything about it is just spectacular. So I'm very excited. None of the drama at all will be over here. I just absolutely adore that she's back. Yeah, Alexa, I didn't know she was back. She is. She is back. And I'm very excited. All right. We're about to get started. So welcome everyone. While I play the intro, please let me know. Please let me know if you can hear me properly. Um, Giselle say, yeah, I caught a live. I'm happy you caught a live too. So please let me know if you can hear me properly. And we have a ton of stuff to get into. So let's start. Welcome, Yogo. Welcome, Sober Bobo, India, Winter's Grace. Up. Oh, sincerely, welcome. Welcome to everyone. We already have so many people in here, so let's get started. I'm going to start on a sort of random note because Derrick Jaxn is still speaking. I actually did not, I'm not subscribed to Derrick Jaxn, so I would know that he's still uploading. I thought he got ran off the internet after Tasha K. But apparently he's still here. So grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. Let's have some fun tonight. Mm. So let's hear what's happening in Derrick Jaxn's world for a moment, and then we'll continue. Wait, did someone say we can't hear, can't hear, can't hear? Let me check something. This might be my bad. Let's see. Yep, I see the problem. Un momento. Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear? Just someone said just made we can't hear Themis. We can hear you, not the pie video. All right. Random, but Themis, your skin looks phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you. I went to the dermatologist the other day, so it's good to know that that is in fact working. Speaker. It should be working. I'm not sure why it's not. Let's try that. Um, Okay. Is it working now? Can you guys hear? Let me know if you guys can heard that video. No. That's interesting. This is why I do not like upgrading to anything at all. Um, all right. I don't know. Let's try this. Give me 2 seconds. This is annoying, struggling as a. All right. There's going to probably be an echo now, and I apologize because this is just what's going to happen. So I apologize. Here we go. Period. All right, let's try this now. What you got it before. So this is how men view single mothers. Used, worn. Please let me know. Can hear now. All right, great. So I'm gonna have to mute my mic, and this is the problem why I didn't want to do it this way. I have to mute my mic while the video plays. So here we go. Someone just asked me if I'm working. Let me say no streaming. All right, let's do it. All right, we're good. Someone said the echo was not bad. All right, let me pull out. All right, let's do it. This is why men don't want to date single mothers and take them serious. Imagine this. You wake up one day and you decide, I want to go buy a brand new car. So you take all the money that you saved up and worked hard for, you go down to your local dealership and you tell them, I want that car. It looks really nice. It's your favorite color. It has 0 miles on it, 0 previous owners, 0 accidents. So you purchase that car for $50,000. You drive it off the lot. Now imagine 8 to 10 years goes by. You get in a couple accidents, your check engine light's on, it needs some other work done. It has 120,000 miles on it. And you say, I want to go buy another car. So you take that same car you got for $50,000 back to the dealership and you say, hey, I want to trade this in for $50,000 when I originally bought it from. You know what they're going to do? They're going to look at you and laugh. That sales guy's going to say, listen, I'm not going to give you that. It has a lot of damage on it, a lot of wear and tear, but I can give you $8,000. Are you going to get mad? Are you going to get frustrated? No, you're going to take that $8,000, take what you can get and move on because you can't get full price of what you got it before. So this is how men view single mothers. Used, worn down, previous owners. Guys have ran it down and abused it and used it up. And women think that I want to get back on the dating market and get full price for what other men got for free. It's not going to happen.
You know, normally I really.
All right. Before we get to Derrick Jaxn, we have covered this young man before, right? We can all accept that he does not have the range to even be in these discussions. So I would never, ever again lower myself to even responding to anything he says, right? Like, I am beyond that. Hopefully, everyone in the chat is beyond that. He is absolutely out of his depth. I don't understand why people follow him. I don't understand why people care what he says. These analogies are tired and old and just completely useless. The conversation is reductive. His articulation of problems within the Black community is reductive. I don't understand why anyone gives credit to him at all, just generally. So let's accept that and move on, right? Someone said, yes, are those Blu-ray glasses? Yeah, they are. They are. Um, but Derrick Jaxn decided that he would respond. I already watched this. I can't take Derrick Jaxn serious. I don't know why. I feel like you should probably figure out another route, but let me continue. Let's see what Derrick Jaxn had to say.
We appreciate y'all sending me videos, tagging me, and asking my thoughts, but I could have done without this one. But let's talk about it because there are guys who feel this way. However, not all. Not all. When I looked at this video, I looked in the comments, and there was a lot of dudes saying this brother's speaking for himself, not us, not any man that we know. So let me first and foremost make that clear. This does not represent all men, but there are guys who feel this way, and they're becoming more and more vocal these days for some reason. And whenever they say things like this, I notice they always say, hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling the truth. Don't deflect. The message is the message. It's the truth. So how about this? We don't shoot the messenger. Let's just deal with the message because it's quite illogical. Now, he doesn't really clarify what makes a single mother like a used vehicle with all of these different miles. Not experiences, not even looks, but just the fact that she has a child, I'm guessing. Like, I'm not really sure if it's the single part or the mom part, but I'm gonna guess it's not the mom part that makes a woman like a used vehicle with all these miles and not really as valuable, because if that's the case, then his mother was better off not having him, according to his logic. So I'm gonna take a wild guess that that's not what he's saying, even though I'm sure she's looking at him talking this video, wishing she could have done some things differently, but that's neither here nor there. So it must be the single part, the part where a woman not only has a child, but is without a man, that makes her less valuable. But you don't have to be a car expert to know the moment you take a new vehicle off the lot.
By the way, we are halfway through Derrick Jaxn's response, and he has not said anything. This is bad. This might be one of the very few times that I look at someone, and as they talk, the message cannot penetrate because of who he is, right? And I'm a big proponent of don't shoot the messenger, right? Don't reduce yourself to sort of ad hominem attacks. I won't, but I will say that it's very difficult to take anything coming out of his mouth seriously, just at all. Like, it's just really bad. But let me continue. He didn't say anything, so there's nothing to unpack. He just blabbered a bit just now. So let's continue to his logic.
The moment a new vehicle leaves the dealership, it depreciates, sometimes as much as 20% or more. So just in terms of this horrible reference of women being like a new or even a used vehicle, it wouldn't be that the woman being without a man makes her less valuable. According to the vehicle reference, we would be the depreciator. We would be the downgrade. We would be the thing that will be taking value away from the woman at best. Now, at worst, if anything, we're more like the used vehicle, because the whole point of a new vehicle costing more than a used vehicle with a lot of miles or any miles on it is that a new vehicle is expected to last longer. Therefore, you're supposed to get more benefit and utility, more usage out of it, since the parts are newer and all that kind of stuff. But Google this, if you will. Who lasts longer? Who lives longer, men or women? Women, about 5 to 10 years, according to statistics. So
all right, finally, I got the comment that I wanted. What is he responding to? This man compared mothers to used car. Derrick Jaxn says, no, it is men who are like used cars. And then explains that, and this is the only part that seems logical, that men would be the depreciator or the depreciating factor. But I think his argument, if it is an argument, is that children depreciate a woman's value because whatever. Look, I am not getting into the back and forth with these people, right? Because they continuously make the argument that other people have talked about abortion, and I'm not going to get into that. And so it's interesting that I don't think they understand where the logical extreme of the argument is. And I'm talking about this young man whose name I refuse to learn because I just don't have the time to go look it up. Derrick Jaxn is being unresponsive. He's just using the opportunity to talk about something completely different. I mean, it's just overall, it's unfortunate. I was waiting for the comment that says, I'm so confused, because I am also. The reason I brought this up is because I wanted to let you guys know Derrick Jaxn is still out here doing absolutely nothing. And just making a complete fool of himself generally. So is this man. I don't know his name. I keep calling him this young man, but I absolutely do not know his name. But enough of that, because Derrick Jaxn doesn't actually do anything. So let's go to the lead attorney. I'm still drinking mud water, by the way. Still going through it. So the lead attorney did a live stream last week, I think it was, right? And in his live stream, I don't watch the lead attorney, right? I went to watch because everyone told me he was somehow different, and he was better, right? And he was better than most people in the manosphere. And I do think that what people call mainstream appeal, in terms of packaging really bad messages in something more palatable, I think he would represent that. But it's still really bad. It is still really bad. So we're going to watch a portion of what he said. And it's interesting because this part of the stream is going to be super important. It is going to be focused primarily on education in the Black community, the education of Black women, the education of Black men, and the competition in sort of achieving economic success. And whether or not there is even this kind of competition or willingness by different people in the community to have access. Now, I will say this about the lead attorney. Apparently he's an attorney, right? I know from my experience in law school and after law school that the people in the T14, which if you go to law school, the top law schools in America, they call them the T14, but let's expand that to the T20. I don't know where the lead attorney went to law school. Don't know, don't really care. What I do know is that there has to be an understanding of culture, right? And when we hear an attorney say a woman's education doesn't matter, it might have more credibility. And that for me is a problem. So before we go any further, let's just straight up say he is wrong. And even if there is anti-intellectualism in the Black community, which I'm not disagreeing that there is, you should be pushing back against that culture. People's education does matter, right? So I am going to let him talk, and then we are going to actually do some legit work. Because I had people come on the stream and they say, why aren't the academics in the Black community helping the Black community? So the academics in the Black community, I agree, if they care, should be helping the Black community. So here is my voice, right? I'm not saying that I'm an academic, even though I would qualify as such. Let's go. This is what happened. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because they speak kind of slowly.
Ask you this. Do you think a man has the right to judge the value that you place on getting a PhD for yourself?
Absolutely. In his life, absolutely. how can this benefit me, or does it benefit me?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Well, that's what he's doing. So what's the problem?
My problem is, why is it being taught that it's not valuable? Why is it being taught
It's not. No.
content creators that if a woman goes to achieve any type of level of higher education, that it's not valuable? You have the right in your life to say, if she gets her PhD, maybe she writes a book.
But they're saying, listen, they're not saying that it's not valuable. You're leaving out two words.
Mhm.
That's the issue. That's where you're not connecting it. You're saying, why are men saying that it's not valuable? You're leaving out two words, very important words. The words that you're leaving out is to them. Men are saying, if you getting your PhD in psychology is not valuable to them. All right. If you want to get it yourself, get it yourself. If you think it'll help you and your kids, get it. Fine. What some men are telling you is that a psychology degree is not valuable to them. Now, if your number one priority is to get a husband, if your number one priority is to have children, should you invest all of those years in getting a PhD in psychology, or should you do something that more aligns with your stated objective? That's all men are saying. Make it line up.
Mhm.
Don't say that your stated objective is to get a husband and then spend 8 years getting something that will not help you get that husband. Make it aligned. Make it consistent. That's all men are saying. That's all we're saying.
Understood.
Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Wait. So before we continue, let's stop here. The leader channel was anti-manosphere when he started his channel. Once he got promoted by O'Shea Duke, he became red pill. I know he got promoted by O'Shea Duke Jackson. I didn't know he was anti-manosphere previously. Thank you for your super chat. I did not know this. But let's take this for a moment, right? Let's take it for a moment. I'm not going to give my full analysis until after it's done. Most of the young professionals that I know, and again, this might be due to the fact that the culture in these elite law school and after law school is such that it is completely different than maybe what he experiences. All of the attorneys, even the partners at firms, are talking and they brag about how educated their wife is, right? About the jobs that their wife has. When we engage in conversation at firm events, people very rarely brag about themselves because it's kind of uncouth. What people brag about in relation to them and their own success is how well their partner is doing. It is a culture. I am not going to sit here and say this is generalizable, but when I hear a so-called attorney talk about a woman's education is not valuable to them, right, in terms of the man, what we need to recognize here is that there is a problem with the culture. I am going to explain why it is and how education, job opportunity, and economic mobility are intrinsically linked in contemporary American society. So to not care about a person, a woman's education, is to disregard a potential opportunity for upward mobility. Now, I am not saying this is not true, and I'm not disparaging people without degrees, right? What I am saying here is specifically as it relates to this man who is supposedly an attorney lending his own credibility to the arguments about what women should do to achieve a man, as opposed to elevating men and women to increase opportunities in the Black community, is a problem. You have used your position as an attorney now online to lend credit to the idiotic, yes, I said it, idiotic ideas coming out of the manosphere. Let me continue. LB Center Super Chat. Education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in diverse, period. Aristotle. I literally can't believe I didn't pick up that quote. The Black community not face enough the adversity for education to have value. Look, I am going to go through some actual research and work, right? I am going to go through some issues because on one hand, people are saying the academics, the scholars need to engage in activism, Black activism, and they are. you might not see it. It is done through papers. It is done through these ideas about educational disparities and opportunities in employment. It is done on a level that is not flashy because no one likes to read, right? So it is being done. I am a part of some of these writings. And so when I see, by the way, this is why I push back so forcefully against the manosphere when it comes to education. I will get to that in a moment. But it is superbly important that we understand these ideas about a woman's education is not new, right? So let's continue watching what they're saying. Thank you again, LB. And then we'll talk.
Yeah, I think your point is very valid, Taylor. I'm just going to go back to what it's like. We have some dissonance in terms of what we are taught in Black families versus what Black men actually want. I think this whole push for education and making sure that women have something to, quote, fall back on, I think has been very important. I mean, my dad lost his job. Thank God my mom had him holding him down as a nurse. So
I'm so glad you're.
Wait, you heard that, right? So she just explained that her dad lost his job through whatever means, and her dad, right? Her dad lost his job, sorry, or whatever happened. And the mom, who was a nurse, had to hold down the family, right? Again, it is very short-sighted. It is, I'm going to call this a poverty mindset for people to come out and say women's education doesn't matter, particularly when the group saying that does not have the resources to carry a family and provide. Actually, let them just stop. Let me stop and let them continue so we can get to the foolishness.
Saying that. I'm so glad you're saying that the family is teaching us one thing, but the manosphere really is coming in.
Yeah.
The manosphere, listen, this is so important, guys. Let me shout out to the Blooming Ebony, excellent content creator herself. What is that saying? Listen, the family is teaching us one thing, but the men today in 2021, the manosphere, they are telling you. And Suzette came on last time, and what did she talk about? Man, I had some misconceptions coming up in my family, and now I see things differently. What are you saying? What the Jamaican that came up? We were taught this and what we were taught that. The manosphere now is telling you the truth. Women shit on the manosphere when the manosphere is telling you what the hell the deal is with men right now. They're not echoing the misconceptions that you guys were given when you were younger. They're telling you in real time, this is what's going on. Right? So receive it that way. It's going to sound harsh because you're like, well, I didn't grow up this way. This is not the truth that I was taught when I was 6 and 8 and 12. Why are these men that I don't know saying it? Why are they saying this stuff in this way? It doesn't sound so flowery, right? It doesn't sound so nice. Oh, these people in the manosphere are terrible. They're telling you the truth. There's some people in the manosphere that are on some bullshit, all right? That's anywhere. That's anywhere, right? I mean, people like it. People in the black pill, you can find some crazy people in the manosphere. But in general, not the black pill. Don't look at the black pill stuff. In general, what people in the manosphere, what men in the manosphere are telling you is how we feel. Not the way you want us to feel, and not the way that you were taught that we should feel. We're telling you in real time how we feel.
Yeah. And it's shocking to a lot of people, though. I'm telling you, it's shocking to women.
Agreed.
It's shocking. If people hear, like, again, those of us who have not been living, breathing, consuming manosphere stuff, when you first hear it, you're like, what? Like, you find it to be chauvinistic. You may find it to be just, something contrary to everything like you've ever known. So for me, I have people now that tell me easily, Sue, if you were a teacher, you'd be married already.
Exactly. Listen,
there is a lot of unmarried teacher. Like, that's not a thing. If you were a teacher, you would be married already. That's not it. If people don't like you, if people can't appreciate your degree, I have a story to tell, actually. A Proverbs of sort. It's very big in Jamaica.
If you had not spent 8 years getting your PhD in psychology, you wouldn't have to cross all this stuff out. Right? You see where I'm coming from, gorgeous?
I do. And I completely understand. I just don't think that men are more so seeing the other side of it. Like, I'm pretty sure that, being accomplished puts you in different circles, and then that also allows you to interact.
Gorgeous, you're fighting it. You're fighting it.
I'm not fighting.
You're saying, Gordon, gorgeous, you're saying that men don't see the other side of it.
No. I'm not talking about what
you just said that, gorgeous.
I did it. But
gorgeous, I just repeated your words, and now you're saying no.
Let me reword it, please.
Okay. All right.
What I was saying was, when women go and get higher education, I understand now what you're saying. That's not necessarily useful in the home as far as the man can see, as far as how it will help our family. But I do want men to understand that that's what puts us in those particular circles that would allow us to look for a well-earning man. Does that make sense?
No.
No.
You getting your PhD in psychology will not necessarily put you around men. Listen, there are not going to be tons and tons of men in your psychology PhD program. They're not.
But we're talking a PhD program.
Exactly. Well, what's it in? That's the thing.
No, I'm talking about, let's go a little bit lower, more commonly.
All right. I wanted to play more, but my head is actually kind of hurting from this. And the reason it's hurting from this is because he's literally being obtuse, right? On one hand, and I think this is important, if you are getting an education and you are not from a place where there is a ton of well-to-do people, you will have more access to other people who have resources if you go to school, just generally, right? Now, obviously, what school you decide to go to is important, not necessarily your actual degree, but it is, right? So I think that is important. Before we get into some research, talking about this, let's read this. What in the financial abuse fantasy? She'd be married already if she was a teacher, right? Like, no, that's not a thing. And he said yes. And they try to hide their own ideas about sort of what is happening by saying, oh, it is not important to me, quote unquote. But let's do it, right? When you ask why academics and scholars and people with beyond a master's degree aren't helping the Black community, it is very difficult on an academic front to debate the inequalities in opportunities for educational access when you have people like the lead attorney speaking out as if the culture, the Black culture and Black men in the Black culture do not want women to get an education and they don't find it valuable, quote unquote, to them, right? It's very difficult to then point out inequalities in opportunities for education because of race. This has been a tremendous part of scholarship in higher education, right? This argument that we need to get more Black people in schools. And the reason a lot of Black people cannot have access to school and education in the way that other races of people can is because of systemic racism. But it seems like these men particularly just devalue education, and we do have a culture in which men seem to not care about a woman in this case, education. Let me pull up an article from the Brookings Institute, right? Let's do it. So this article is talking about unequal opportunities in education because of race, right? And they go back to W.E.B. Du Bois and his articulation about the importance of education in a system, right? Now, if you take that, right, if you take that first, there is an issue right here. Why education matters, why Du Bois, why pretty much every civil rights activist, why it was that Brown v. Board of Education was the first step in terms of integration and ending Jim Crow was because of the importance of education. You cannot speak to upward mobility in contemporary American society without pointing to the fact that there is not just causation now, but a correlation rather. There is a direct causal nexus between higher education and better job opportunities. It is just, it is what it is. Like, I'm not arguing on that front with anyone, right? So let's go to Brookings EDU, right? Let's do some work, right? When it comes to education, So Black college graduate less likely to be married. One reason well-educated individuals end up in more affluent households is that they are more likely to be married and therefore to have two earners. As we showed in our previous blog, College Friends, this is the name of the blog, college-educated women are now more likely to be married than those without a college degree, right? But there are big differences here by race. White women with an undergraduate degree are almost as likely to be married today as in 1960, but marriage rates are declining for Black women across educational spectrum. A Black woman with an undergraduate degree aged between 35 and 45 is 15% point less likely to be married than a white woman without an undergraduate degree. This is important. Oh, we're gonna go deeper than this, right? Part of why the community is doing bad, if we're to theorize from what we have here, is that it seems the men in our community do not value education. They do not see the importance of having education, an educated woman or a woman with access to resources. Now, they say this online, but we'll talk about the starter wife phenomena at some other point, right? It is important to note, when compared to other races, right, in the United States, it seems Black people, we are just falling behind. And when we hear, I mean, there are a lot of reasons for this, right? I will admit to this, there's a lot of reasons for it. But when you hear people talk about how unimportant a woman's education is to your willingness to create a family with them, it makes you think, how singular minded, right? How base must you be if this is how you evaluate or don't evaluate your partner that you decide to have children with, right? I'm going to take this a bit further. When other groups are doing it, because when you have a man with a degree and a good salary, and you have a woman with a good salary or a degree and a good salary, right? Does that not benefit the household? Does that, like, anyway, I'll go. To what he said earlier, you cannot prove the validity of your point by someone's emotional response to it. It was mentioned before that that notion is often used as a thought-stepping technique. Honey, I don't know exactly where you were going with this. I'm sorry. I should have clicked it as soon as I spoke. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat. Comment again, and I'll try to find it. This whole conversation revolves around people equating their bachelor's degree. They spend $6,000 on doctors and lawyers and engineers. No, it's not. They were literally talking about a doctorate. He said a PhD in psychology. So you weren't even listening. I feel like this is where you should probably hop off. All right. Let's continue, right? So let's think about the race gap in marriage and education, right? Let's go down in the Brookings, the Brookings for a minute. The race gap in marriage rates for those without a college degree has remained stable over time, with roughly equivalent decline for white and Black women. Meanwhile, the marriage gap for women in the undergraduate degree has widened from 21 percentage points in 1970 to 31 percentage points in 2015. The differences in rates of marriage may in part be due to a shortage of marriageable Black men, itself a product of high rates of incarceration, early death, blah, blah, blah. It is worth noting that while there has been a rise in interracial marriage, Blacks and Black women in particular remain the least likely to marry someone of a different race. So, what is happening? Black men do not want, statistically it seems, a woman with a degree. They don't find it valuable. White people, it seems, at least as the report from the Brookings, understand and do peer with people of their same education and socioeconomic standing, why then is there not an understanding of the importance uh, of education in the Black community? I don't understand that, right? And even if you're saying, well, it's not, the lead attorney is just saying men in the Black community don't want this or don't want that, and they don't care about education. Okay, fine, he's saying that. But he's also telling women to align themselves with these men, right? So it's not like he's saying the culture that tells a woman that her education does not matter is toxic and bad. And he, as an attorney who went to law school, should be talking to men and letting them know that they should be elevating, becoming educated, and try to seek women who also have their similar value in terms of education. And not to mention how important this could be for the children. Also, if one person, God forbid, something happens to them, the other person can actually step in economically and keep the family afloat. None of that is going to be a part of his conversation. And you can't say he wasn't thinking about that, because that young lady who was speaking said that in her experience, her dad, when he could not work, had to depend on her mother, who then provided for the family. So, like, let's not do it, right? So let's continue. Let's continue the reading. By the way, I am completely ignoring people who are just trying to derail the conversation, because at this point, I'm just a bit confused. Yeah, let's continue. All right. So Black college graduate less likely to marry a college graduate. All right. People tend to marry someone with similar level of education and income, as we discussed last week. So college graduates are not only more likely to be married, they are more likely to be married to each other. This means they can double up on the rising college premium. All right, right? So people generally, right? Let me get bigger before we get to the next paragraph. People generally tend to marry people who are similarly situated with them in terms of their socioeconomic status and their education level, right? Never trust a person, man or woman, that speaks against you bettering yourself in any way. Exactly. Exactly. Right? Please don't use the panoramic name in the chat. Anywho, let's continue. Let's continue. Thank you, Che. So, as we mentioned before, people generally marry, date, be with people who are similarly situated with them in terms of education and economic standing, right? But again, there are differences by race. Black women with an undergraduate degree are less likely to marry a man with an undergraduate degree than their white classmates. As we noted in 2015 paper, Single Black Female Bachelor Seeks Educated Husband, Race, whatever, I don't care about that. White women are now slightly more likely to be better educated than their husband, but this marrying down in terms of education is nothing new for Black women. As a recent paper shows, note that the figure below measures shear's birth, whatever, it doesn't matter. All right, so what's happening here? I wanted to quickly read that. What people in the manosphere are saying seems like it needs to be addressed now, because there is stats to back up the fact that it seems, one, Black men aren't getting educated, right? We are just not getting educated. Two, Black women are getting educated. All right, so we have a scenario or a culture whereby men aren't getting educated, the women are getting educated, and instead of praising the women for their education, they're being shamed for their education. All right, so we're going to shame women for their education. if you do this, you cannot then say you care about the Black community. Also, when this is happening, you don't get to say the scholars aren't helping, because the scholarship, right, the work that the scholars are doing requires, right, that you also point out how important it is for us to be educated. You cannot blame the system for your lack of access to education while also yelling at people, telling them that their education doesn't matter. You cannot create a culture where anti-intellectualism reigns supreme and then say the reason people aren't getting educated is somehow because of racism. Like, you don't get to do that. But let's continue. And the part that bothers me the most about this is coming from a so-called attorney, right? Like, this is a attorney who understands in some ways how important it is, at least in his individual life, what his degree could do for him. Yet he's telling women, I can, right? Not to mention, uneducated Black men at high risk studies show, like, people, we already knew that, right? Now, let's see. The proximate cause, education, right? This is the last part I'm going to read, because at this point, it just feels like no one cares about the how intrinsically intertwined access to education and educational achievement is to upward mobility in contemporary America. Now, I am not saying you only get to move upwards if you have an education. A lot of people do it a lot of other ways, but it is important that you, as a woman hearing me now, I don't give advice, but let me venture to do so now. Please, please, if nothing else, please get your education. Please be able to provide for yourself, and do not listen to these men, because they cannot statistically provide for you. So I don't know how they're telling you your education doesn't matter. Their education don't matter to them. Honestly, just go where people will appreciate who you are and what you bring to the table. And I'm going to tell you a story that I was told as a child. Hopefully it rings true for you, because this is super important stuff. It is widely known that education, skills, and work experience are major determinants of employment and earning in the US indeed. Gaps in human capital across race and class groups has increasingly driven the rising inequality in earning that was observed over the past several decades. It is also well known that Black Americans lag behind white Americans and Asian Americans in education attainment, and that men generally lag behind women. For instance, data on bachelor's degrees attainment by race and gender in 2009 show that 0.24 and 0.28 have such degree among Black males and females. This is bad. Ages 25 and over. Comparable percentage among whites are 0.36 and 0.37. If adjusted for undercounting and incarceration among Black men, the gaps between them and other groups would be higher. So the group of people telling you, like, your education doesn't matter, they don't believe their own education matters. So at least they're being consistent. They're not going to get educated, and they don't want you to go and be educated. So I don't know where this ends, but I do know where it begins for at least the people who can think about how much they care about, not the community if they don't want to think that far, but their own improvement. Do not listen to people who say your education does not matter. It does. Now for the story, and I will drive this point home and we can leave the lead attorney alone. All right, sip of mud water. This story in Jamaica is a pearl, right? Sorry, not a pearl, but a diamond. Someone found a diamond. The story is very intricate, but apparently there is an American version, and I heard this a while ago, right? All right, so let's do it. This old man was dying, and on his deathbed, he gave his son a watch that was in his family for generations. For generations, the watch was in his family. And he said, go and try to sell this to a pawn shop, right? This young man went to the pawn shop with the old watch, and the people at the pawn shop said, oh, we'll pay $10 for this old junk. And he goes back to his dad, who said, you have to come back to me before you sell it. And he said, I think I'm going to sell it for the $10 because it's so old. The dad said, no, don't do that. Go to the jeweler, right? He then goes back with the watch to the jeweler. The jeweler inspects the watch, comes back and say, I will pay you $150 for this watch. He goes back to the dad, and the dad says, okay, no. Can you go to the museum and ask them to evaluate the watch and give me a price quote for it? The son was annoyed. He did not want to go. He thought it was dumb because everyone is telling him the watch is meaningless and doesn't have value, what have you. But it's his dad's last dying wish. So he goes off to the museum, and they were doing an antique exhibit and saw the watch, which was one of a kind, right? They evaluated the watch and said they would pay $500,000 now and then $500,000 later after the exhibit. The child runs home to his dad and tells his dad. And before the dad passed away, they said, do you understand what this means? The son was like, yeah, the watch was expensive, but do you understand why it is that this group, right, the museum, could evaluate how important and the actual value of the watch, and the pawn shop and the jeweler could not? The son said, no, Dad, I don't know. Can you explain? And the dad explained to him that people who do not have the exposure, places that you go that do not know how to evaluate certain things, they don't understand the value. If you sell to them, meaning if you engage with them, you will depreciate yourself. But not only will you depreciate that which you are, because you are valuable, you will undersell the value that you have. Now, it is important that I make a caveat here. I'm not comparing you, whatever, to anything. I'm comparing their degree right now to the watch. The people who say your degree doesn't matter, right, are people who do not understand what a degree can do for an individual. They do not know how to value things properly. It is not saying, I mean, some of them are horrible people, but it's not to say they are horrible people. It is to say that they are ignorant as to your value. And if you sell it to the pawn shop for $10, you have decided to devalue yourself and your degree and your experience in order to get $10. It is not that important. Wait until you get to the museum. Decide who values what you have to give, how much they value it, and decide how you want to engage with people who either values or does not know how to value you. Everyone does not know how to value people, right? And the manosphere, it seems, does not know how to value a degree. Even when all the research indicate that with a degree, your opportunities for upward mobility increases, they are here telling you that your degree does not matter, where still in the community, they don't have the resource to take care of you. It could be jealousy. That could be it. I don't know. But at this point, we don't have the time to figure it out. I don't think you should go and make yourself small. Decide that you want to be a teacher, be an attorney, be a professor. Do what you want, and then think about who you want to be with next. Because if they can't value you, I don't know how to make them value you, right? These people who are talking tend to not value themselves and education themselves. And so it's interesting because seeing the lead attorney do it is such a weird thing for me. It is such a horrible experience for me to sit back, right, and watch someone who does have the education say that an education doesn't matter and that it does not bring value. if you do understand education and the importance of it, then you will understand why and how it matters. And apparently they do not. All right. So Jaron says tens of billions of graduates unemployed, political movement for student loan relief, value of education, student can't make this up. Well, you can. You can go somewhere else and go make it up somewhere else, because no one here is listening to you and your pathetic attempts to derail the conversation. If tens of millions of people with degrees are unemployed, can you imagine what percent of unemployment are people without degrees? Stop talking. You absolutely add nothing to the conversation at all. You generally add nothing to the conversation. At some point, I think you would get it, but apparently you do not. Literally, unemployed, underemployed, it doesn't matter. Your statement absolutely had no value whatsoever, at all. Your statement literally had no value. None. All right. I'm going to drop the link before we get to the next segment, which is accountability. And we're going to talk about Brittany Renner quickly. This is going to be the end of the stream at that point. So I'm going to drop the link here and you guys can come on. We're going to do this for like 5 minutes and then we move on to Brittany Renner. All right. I'm going to try to, what do you call this thing? Pin the link. All right, China, go ahead.
Hey, Themis. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to make a really brief comment, and I just, kind of popped in, so I haven't been here the whole time, but I just want to say that when a person says that they don't care about your degree, and I'm currently working on mine right now, but when they make a blanketed statement like that, it's they don't understand, or maybe they don't care, that they're dismissing a person's journey and what it took them to obtain that degree, all the work that they put in, and as to why they put that work in. And for me, I'm in school now to get into the medical profession. And so a big part of that work will be with helping sick people and healing them. And then also being able to make enough money so I can set myself up for the future in a good way, retirement and all of that. So when they just dismiss that, they don't understand that they're dismissing your journey and your work and your why. And it's rude and inconsiderate. And I wouldn't deal with someone who would say that. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah. And I mean, the people just, it's irritating because I think when you think about education, right, people think about just the formal sort of classroom setting and the information that you receive from your professor. But part of what is missing is the interaction and engagement outside of the classroom, right? If you are a part of a Greek fraternity, what kind of exposure that gives you, what kind of access you create. Like this myopic view of the quote unquote education just seems odd to me, that someone would like you, if well, let's not do that thought exercise because I don't want to disparage anyone. But it's just absolutely frustrating. By the way, Reese, I see that you're trying to come on. Your device is not connected, so you probably will have to leave and come again. Hey, Dawn.
Hey, I hope everyone's doing well today. How are you guys?
We are doing well. 533 people
great.
here. Thank you so much for being here. Our debate is going to be tomorrow. Go ahead, Dawn.
No problem. No, I just wanted to say, I think China makes a really astute point. When it comes to someone not valuing someone's education, particularly when it comes to women, especially Black women, I find that it's really telling. And I think it really just highlights how much we devalue Black women who have opinions, Black women who are able to think for themselves, and Black women who are able to question men on topics that men deem to be their area of expertise, especially when it comes to education and particularly when it comes to hard sciences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's not a surprise that that happens, but it's just how some people get down, I think, because they really can't deal with being questioned and they can't deal with individuals not agreeing with them on everything. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Blacks Buttercup, there's my email is flashing at the bottom. Please feel free to send me that video. All right. So let's move on now to Brittany Renner. This has to be one of the. Thank you both, China and Dawn. Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys can come back, obviously, after we do this report. Well, not a report, but go through this. All right. So I was on YouTube minding my own business yesterday, and I got an alert from the roommates. And they were talking about Brittany Renner. And I was like, who is Brittany Renner? Right? Before we get into who is Brittany Renner, this is just so perfect, right? This is just so. Wait, Black Love is here. Black Love, go ahead. You're on mute. All right. I'm just gonna
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, are you gonna talk about Brittany Renner or do you want to talk about the previous topic?
Just real quick, the previous topic.
Go ahead.
Okay. One of the ironic parts that I feel about these people who do not value Black women's education is they use a lot of work by sociologists, specifically Black sociologists, to make their points and make really bad points, and they never connect that the only people who do most of this work are Black women with degree who went into college, who got their master's and PhD to study the things that are affecting the Black community, and they'll nitpick certain data points to make their conclusion while devaluing the whole work that these women put.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because people are like, oh, why are the people with education not coming back? Actually, you are right. Some of the biggest contributor to advancement in the Black community are Black women. Like the New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. This is it. Like that kind of blew open the ideas around the prison system and the disproportionate impact. I'm not even going to do it. Nope, not doing it. I don't think people understand from where their help comes, and they will continue to bite off the hand that feeds them.
Correct. And we need to be honest, but the truth is it's an insecurity. Because Black men sometimes realize that maybe they'll never make it to that level. And instead of pushing themselves, it's much easier to put women down.
And I mean, it is much easier. That's the thing. That's the part that I have seen some incredibly dumb people in some really high-powered position. I don't think you need to necessarily be the smartest person in the world to make it. I do think, however, you have to try. And it can be hard. It is extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult to get up every day, evaluate that which you have done previously and that which you're going to do, and analyze how you have failed and how you can do better. That is hard work, and that's just the mental part of it. Then the actual physical work, I can see how that can dissuade you from engaging in bettering yourself, particularly if you believe, which I do, that the system is fundamentally flawed and racist. But you can still work within the system, or you can go and try to overthrow it. I don't know. Figure it out. But the point at which you start disparaging other people for trying to improve themselves is a point at which I'm going to jump off from that train. Like, absolutely not. You do not get to tell Black women that their education does not matter and it's not valuable, and then add to me as a way to to disprove some of the attacks that are going to come your way. You're going to say, oh, I'm talking about in a sexual capacity. No, you're not, because you're telling Black women that this is what they should do. So no, you're not talking about to you.
Correct. And it would be, and then not only that, I used to give these people leeway because maybe they meant the actual degree, but not the education, but they mean the education too.
Yeah.
Right? Like they mean, like, it's very much anti-intellectualism. As somebody who comes from a family with like educated professionals, and somebody who has a father with a chronic health condition who had to step back and let a woman maybe lead the household more. Like, these people are so stuck in their fantasies of being the perfect provider male that they'll shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, but
instead of just letting go of that image.
Yeah, agreed. And not only will they shoot themselves in the foot, it's like a lot of them don't actually want to be providers because they will be the one asking for a fifth going Dutch. Right? Like, I don't understand how you both want women to pay half and you call them gold diggers on one hand, but then you don't want them to go to school and have a job on the other. Like, no, absolutely not. And while Jaren is down there parsing through, can everyone just ignore him, please? All right. Tiffy.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, very nice to meet you. I've been watching you for a while. I just wanted to comment on the topic about not caring about an education. I do believe, and I've commented before, that I think it's possible that people consider it kind of a perverted view of what it is to be a Christian woman while not holding themselves to the same standards. And it's like a cafeteria, like they pick and choose from what they want for a woman to be without holding themselves to the same like standard. And commenting on Black Love about provider male, it's and they're also holding us to a very white man capitalistic type of view. It's great and fine that you could have a woman sitting there waiting for you, but we've always had to work, especially Black American, in general. We've always had to work. Black women and men. Most of us could not afford to stay home, by ourselves while our husbands are out. We've always had to work. And now that we have the ability to have an education, it's almost like, I was just listening to a podcast saying that, educated women, the more educated they are, the less, they have the ability to find a mate. Like 40%, they have a 40%, less ability to find a mate being educated. And I really feel like sometimes, I can't remember the exact quote.
No, but
it's
that's
just
a funny thing though. Like, I just read that from the Brookings. Oh, my voice is annoying. I just read that from the Brookings Institute, and part of the thing is, like, for Black women, this is true. The more educated you become, the less likely you are to get married. But for other races of women, the marriage rate doesn't change. Like, they get educated and marry educated men. They have jobs and have married men with jobs. So the question now becomes, what is wrong with the men in our community? Or maybe it's the women who don't want to get married, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I do know. It's men, because they literally said your education doesn't matter. And then they agree that if you were a teacher instead of a lawyer, then they would marry you. But let me continue. Go ahead and wrap up, Tiffy. I think Reese wants to add. Go ahead, Tiffy.
Oh, I feel like maybe it's an intimidation type of thing where if they feel that you may be more educated than them or make more money than them, then they are somehow intimidated by it. And to tell you the honest truth, I feel like they say that because it's a bit of a ability to control you, to make you a little bit under them so they have more control. If that makes any sense. It's a little bit narcissistic, I think.
Thank you. I mean, what? Oh, sorry. when I think about it, it's like, well, all right, are you going to provide? And usually the answer is no. Reese, you finally made it through. Go ahead. Thank you, Tiffy.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, Themis. Are you hearing me okay?
I am.
Fantastic. At least this device works now. So, with regards to this education topic, I quite I'm very intrigued by all of the manosphere's talking points, to be honest, because not a single one of them makes any sense. And I really like to dig in and try and dissect each and every one of them. So thank you for really taking on the education piece, because this one really sticks in my craw.
Same.
Uh, so when we're talking about education, I think I left a comment earlier saying that I have to kind of lean towards agreeing with the lead attorney when he said that education doesn't matter, but you're missing the key words. He made sure to stress that you're missing the key words to them. And
Yeah.
I'm reading between the lines here, and I'm going to take him at face value because I believe in taking a man at his word. If he's telling you the same thing over and over, listen to what he's telling you. So when he's saying it doesn't matter to them, he really and truly does mean that. So now, who is the them to whom he is referring? These are the men who actually espouse and believe these talking points. That's the them. Who makes up the them? Let's think about this even further. I'm reminded of a quote that says, of each thing, think what it is in and of itself. What is its nature? What does it do? So this them, what is its nature? What are their nature? What do they do? What are they in their essence? These are men who are more likely than not black men, which means that more likely than not they are not terribly educated. No offense, we're just gonna spit facts here. They're not terribly the highest earners. They're not. So when you take all of those things into consideration, in certain parts, depending on where you're looking at in America, they're not the most literate. So now, when you really think about it, if that's your them, if that is your audience, think about this seriously. How many hearts and minds are you really going to sway into believing you when you say my education matters? It doesn't matter to them because they've not even valued it for themselves. So what sort of net are you trying to cast here to try and bring in people who don't value it for themselves? Who are these people in and of themselves? What are their nature and what do they do? They do not value education, so they will not value it from you. Have I
Yeah.
lost anybody? Am I am I making sense here?
No, you are. And I think that echoes the story about the watch. Like, there are some people who just will not understand the value that you bring. And that's, I mean, it's sad when it's people you care about and you want to be around and want to be with, but ultimately you're going to have to make the decision for yourself. And honestly, that decision is to probably step away from trying to prove your worth to people who don't understand your worth. Like,
And I agree.
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you.
No, no, you didn't. I love your voice. Please, please come back. I like hearing you talk. So that. Um,
Sure, I most certainly will. Let's see how the discussion progresses. And if I have anything worthwhile to say or if anything comes to mind, sure, I'll jump back in.
all right, awesome. Thank you. All right,
Thank
let's go to Brittany Renner. By the way, I was told that I'm babysitting this weekend and I'm very excited. My two nephews, if you're following me on Instagram, you saw them. They're coming over and I am extremely excited to have them. Their mom is going to be very upset because they will be getting the world while they're here. And I am going to attempt to spoil them, like absolutely spoil them. So I'm not going to get them the new PlayStation, because I think that would be a bit much, and I'm pretty sure their mom would be absolutely upset with me if I did something like that. Um, oh, Deanne is on. Let me bring her before before I get to this. Hey, Deanne, how are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, Themis and chat and listeners. I want to keep this really short. See, it's one thing when Pookie and Ray Ray on the street want to tell you that your education doesn't matter. We understand why he's coming from that perspective because he doesn't value himself and does not believe that he can be educated, and so does not want you to show up whatever delusions of godhood he has on the corner as Pookie and Ray Ray. Now, when an educated man tells you that, Themis, again, I've told you this before. The reason you don't understand it is because you do not aspire to be one of our founding fathers type of guys, away from the founding father. Essentially, these educated black men who talk like this are interviewing for black women to be Sally Hemings, a woman that he can essentially take 36 years or more of her life, lock her in a back room at will, and take her children from her and at least sell her off. So, ladies, don't audition to be Sally Hemings. Because if a highly educated man tells you that your education doesn't matter, that's who he wants. Because he's making the assumption that he's going to have a Monticello, that he can completely provide for you. But the cost is going to be you're not going to have any rights and privileges, even to your own children and your own life. Thomas Jefferson's admirers, there are a lot of black men who reach a higher level solely for the purpose of trying to live the fornicating, soul-breaking, slave-making lifestyle of the men they really look up to. Now, ain't none of them going to be a general or a statesman or an ambassador or author of documents on that level, but they want that fornicating, soul-breaking, slave-making part. And if you are dumb enough to let yourself be used by that, then you're going to receive the reward. And even if you make it to quote unquote, there's not that much difference between a bottom bitch, and a slave mistress. The only difference is how much money she gets to spend. So again, you can be a pimp's woman, or you can be a Thomas Jefferson in blackface type, but that's the same person. You're going to have to go along with his crimes against other people, and you're going to have to put up with his foolishness against you. Understand that if educated black men are saying this, they want us to think it's worth this trouble. It is not worth the trouble to be with a man like that unless you want to be Sally Hemings. You got 36 years of your life to spend on that? Then you go ahead and sit in the presence of men like this and listen to their foolishness. Otherwise, if you don't want to go back into slavery, if a man tells you that 4, 5, 6, 10 years of work that you put in to be viable, not only in the United States, but in the global economy, doesn't count, it just needs to be addressed. If you have a degree in any subject, you know how to work consistently better than anybody, pretty much anybody who didn't, because of a very specific kind of mental and academic habits to be able to do that. That doesn't put down, you can learn it other ways, but the gentlemen who are complaining about they think you should be some kind of STEM person before your degree counts, do not know what they are talking about because they do not appreciate the habits of mind it takes to operate successfully on an academic level. Nor am I talking out my neck. I'm a summa cum laude graduate. You don't get that standing on the corner, taking macrobay and doing athletics and slipping by in community college. This ain't nothing of GED. It doesn't make me better than anybody else. But you don't have the same mind when you have achieved on that level. So don't be with men who do not understand the value of the process of education. And for those of you who don't have a college education, but you went and got certified for something, you went through online courses, it's the same process. So I'm not saying college is absolutely necessary, but when you have put in the time to actually learn on a deeper level than ABC 1, 2, 3 in this life, then counting kilos and notching up fornication partners that you intend to throw away with their children, you do not let yourself be dominated by men who do not appreciate that. You are not Sally Hemings. Harriet Tubman couldn't be here today.
Yeah, you want to know
I'm here to
something?
just shout.
I was going to ignore Jaren, and I should, but I won't. I'm going to do this. Because after hearing you say all of that and him just responding, again, Jaren generally has nothing to offer to the conversation. But let's hear him. So, people talking about university like it's fine. BC studying under Aristotle. Come on, LMO, blah, 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 whatever, right? The funny thing is, if you think about it generally, we're talking about learning a bunch of things, such as discipline. If you can go through, even if you don't come out with a great degree at the end, right? Or even high school or whatever, if you don't come out with something amazing, the fact that you can go through the process, figure out how to get it done, and then come out on the other end, right? That in and of itself highlights something about you that is not readily understood if you didn't, right? It's not that you don't have it, it's just it's not as readily understood if you don't.
See, the thing about it is, Demons, what I love about the 21st century is that these, okay, now we got another big super chat. Okay, well, if you think about today's student loan, but you have to look at the amount of earning power people have time to have over the course of a lifetime. It's not just about today. But here's the thing I was just about to say. What I love about the 21st century is that people who don't get it out themselves. And once they out themselves, they can be blocked, blessed, and ignored. So since men are going to out themselves, showing us that they only can look at education as something that people 500 BC needed, okay, and that they only can look at how much student debt you have versus a lifetime of earning, okay, that's good. Ladies, take note. You see it. And by the way, I should just say for the record, another thing to look for in men, if they cannot have the conversation that the host of the platform is having and stay on topic, understand that a man like that will divert your entire life because he can't figure out how to use his YouTube channel and build a platform of his own. That man will destroy your whole life.
Yeah.
That's another thing to avoid.
Yeah. Michael, what if education comes with debt and she still does not make more than you? That is anecdotal, but I see that as the issue in degree is the bottom line. From a man's perspective, doesn't mean much. Like literally you said it's anecdotal and then you make a general statement about for men's, which is not the plural form of men. It doesn't mean much. So thank you.
He made my point, Miss. I don't have anything else to say. Michael epitomized what I was.
I just know Dean's words be stinging the manosphere. I never want to be read by her.
I hate to have to do this. I'm generally an easy to get along with women, but I am not going to allow the manosphere targets people that are my students. I have students who are now 20 to 25. If you think I'm gonna sit by and let these want to be PEDOPHILES target the next generation of young Black people, absolutely not. Our young women are not there to be eaten up on your fantasies of trying to be Thomas Jefferson. You ain't had a plantation, don't have any money, don't have a country to build, ain't got a declaration of nothing but your bills. And you're going to try to go after these girls who are just getting into adulthood. Oh, no, we're not going to do this. I'm generally very easy to get along with. But there's some things we're not going to stand for.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, a lot of people didn't know this, but the reason I even started talking about the manosphere at all was from this educational background sort of rejection standpoint. It literally counters all the work that they beg academics to do to get them involved in, like, I just don't understand how anyway, I want to get to Brittany Renner because I don't have much time. I appreciate you so much, and I'm pretty sure you're going to come back and have just so much to say, because this Brittany Renner thing, I don't have a lot to say on it. I find it extremely funny that everyone is talking about how she robbed him and she tricked him and got pregnant on purpose. And let's watch it first. So thank you for being on.
See you later.
Bye. All right. So Oh, mahogany is here. I just can't believe we have to explain to men with no resource. Look, my thing is, and this is the really funny part about it for me. If you don't do it, will they? And the answer is no. I am excited at the idea that these people are coming forward and saying things like this, because now they like choose better, right? I think for a lot of people, the vetting process is going to be amazing now, right? Like, this is how you vet. This can be a filter. If anyone says your employment doesn't matter, you just disregard them, right? Just like, don't even think about it. Just disregard. Look, I'm not giving advice, so let me stop. Themis, thank you for the entertaining, thoughtful, and structured content. I appreciate that too. Okay, the orange. Wait. The orange pill is here. I don't see how a degree a woman has add value to what men want. I don't know if that was part of the discussion, but come on now. um, Before I read your comments, I knew you would say something like that, and it's okay. I don't think anyone's employment degree, whatever, I don't think it will add value to you specifically. It shouldn't add value to you, and I would hope educated people would stay away from you, honestly, because this is ridiculous. Like, you do not see how a woman's degree can add value to what men want. Like, you don't see it, they don't see it for you. I think this is great. I just like, this is so beautiful. Like, this is a beautiful moment. I enjoyed. Let's read it again. I don't see how a degree a woman has add value to what men want. All right. What do men want? All right, let's move on. I don't know if that was part of the discussion, but come on now. Period. You better help us break the delusion. Uh, I can see how almost anything can add value if you use it the right way, right? Like, anyone with half a brain cell can figure out how to use their situation and whatever access they have to, I don't know, add value to their life. But you just outlined that you can see how a woman's degree can add value to what a man wants. So I appreciate the honesty. That I can say. A majority of men picking women on their degrees. Come on, Themis. No, they're not. Actually, a majority of black men aren't. And instead of telling them that they should, which most other race of people do, as the research just indicated previously, you guys decide not to and try to dumb women down instead of finding a way to understand the value of a woman's employment and degree to make life better, not just for her, but for yourself and for the children that you're going to create. Like, if you don't understand how someone's access to more information, access to more resources, if you don't understand that, I can teach it to you. Just go on, sir. You got this. Period. I love this. So, anywho, the Orange Peel has a YouTube channel. I don't know. I think that's the name of it. If you guys want to be disabused of your notions and delusion, he says he specializes in disabusing. He didn't use the word disabusing Black women of their delusion. So if you want to get rid of your delusion, the Orange Pill got you. And that's just that on that. All right. $9 no super sticker. Thank you so much. All right. And that was a Why did I lose focus just now? Today's episode was sponsored by the Orange Pill. All right, too much fun. I'm having too much fun on this. The manosphere wants a prop, not a woman. We understand that at this point. At any rate, I really want to hear your thoughts on the infantilizing black man with Brittany. Oh, let's do Brittany Renner. I literally was like, I'm over it. But let's go to Brittany Renner. They think other groups are the very bottom of the totem pole globally. By the way, I don't think Naya Fox thank you for your super chat. I don't know if I said thank you previously. Also, Candy, thank you for your super chat. The Orange Pill is laughing, so he gets the joke. He gets what the punchline is. All right, let's go to I'm going to put you in the back for a second, Don, but I'll bring you back with LB and Ensad, because I have to quickly go through this because I have less than 30 minutes. All right, and I'm going to be on time. So let's do it quickly. All right. So the roommate said this, right? And I was like, who is Brittany Renner? What is Brittany Renner? What is happening? Blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. Let's continue. Let's do it.
Reaction to watching that episode.
It was a lot. It was a lot going on. It's in so many different ways we can talk about it, take a deep dive. My initial reaction was like, dang, man. I blame PJ.
Really?
You know?
Okay.
My initial reaction.
Okay.
And I sit back and I'm listening, as the conversation goes longer. And I want to say halfway in the video, towards the end, I'm like, dang, man, it's back to her now. I was like, oh, she was sounding good. Like, okay, she made a point there. Yeah. And then like, oh, okay, now like I see what's going on here. So it was a lot of emotional roles. Like, okay, yeah, Ack made a good point. Oh, dang, she made a good point. Yeah. And then it was a lot of that going on. And then I had to sit back, let my mind settle, and watch it again. And as I watched it again, I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, she has a different way of viewing her life, especially relationships, and how she feels like she should be loved, to the point where it's like you either agree with that or you're just not going to agree with that. Mm-hmm. And it's it's our choice, my choice, or whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't know, certain actions, certain things are going to grant her the man or the relationship that she wants of her dreams. I think some of the decisions she made, it made that want and desire a lot harder to get. Yeah.
All right. So if you believe Brittany Renner is wrong and she's dead wrong, please click the link and come up. I would love to speak to you, because I think you people don't want to be honest, right? So they're like, Brittany's wrong, and after watching the video, I realized she was wrong, and she is a wind spirit, like in the Avatar. You know how they do with this. I don't know what they do, honestly. So I decided to go watch the video with Brittany Renner, and we're gonna play it. If this video was monetized previously, it will be demonetized now. I don't monetize my video, my live stream automatically, so I don't know what happens, so I don't really care. So it's gonna be a lot of cursing and whatever, so please ignore that. Move away if you need to. So I watched the video. So apparently this sports player, I say sports player to just do a broad brush because I don't really care, named PJ, was I think 20, and Brittany had a child with him, and now he has to pay over $200,000 a month. And everyone is mad how she trapped him and blah, blah, blah. I don't understand. So we just gonna take accountability away from men who decide to engage. All right, let's hear Brittany Renner. Right, I don't know this woman. I'm not rooting for her. I don't really care about the situation. But it highlights something super important about low self-esteem in the Black community and how it can be used against Black men in particular for women to get what they want. So here we're gonna get into it. We have a new member. KRK became a YouTube member. Welcome. This is my membership dance. All right. The Orange Peel said, yeah, because being a man and talking to men and being around them, I know what men want, and it's not a woman with degree. Degrees are a plus. Oh, degrees are a plus. I thought they didn't have any value now. Again, I'm not going to finish reading that foolishness because you don't even know what you're talking about. All right, let's continue. So this is the interview that we're talking about. This man just said the maturity of men and women are different. So because they engage in sexual intercourse and have a child, it is her fault, not his. And I can't. Why did you just walk into some mess? A lot of. All right. The Orange Pill just said, theme is something being a plus and having value are two, are two different things, not the same. I think at this point, Orange Pill, just check out of the conversation. Please, for your sake and the sake of me, because seeing you comment is funny to me. And I feel like at some point you are going to feel disrespected, and I'm not intending to disrespect you, but I'm not very good at controlling my laughter. And so I don't want it to just be that I'm laughing at you this entire night. But for your sake, I mean, if you don't mind, you can even come up if you don't mind, but know that I'm going to laugh because I'm gonna laugh. So it is what it is. If you want to come up, please come up because 1 + 1 equals 1 apparently. Something having value and being a plus are two different things. I am. Dean says, "Don't join the stream, bro." All right, good. Please come up. I would like for you to come up. We always have a lot of fun when you come on. All right. All right. I feel a very scammy vibe coming from her. I feel a very scammy vibe coming from her, talking about she's a religious person and she believes in divine timing. Like she saw a sucker, honestly. And she took full advantage. She took full advantage. She is a spiritual person who believes in divine timing, and she divinely thought it was the right time to have his child and gain $250,000 a year for 18 years. So period. Period. Like y'all play games and y'all got this. So like it is what it is. And people keep saying women are gold diggers, and then they point to these women who they willingly engage with in this way, and then blame these women who are, she's a model, an Instagram model. She became famous on Instagram. Like she wasn't hiding, by the way. Like you don't get to blame her for PJ. Like you don't. She made videos, and I'll play one of them. I decided to go look into her because apparently she wrote a book, and I ordered the book, but it didn't come in time. But this is some of what she said, right? Like she literally said this, and people are like concerned about what she would and would not do.
In my experience,
this is what Brittany Renner said.
The worst people to deal with are the athletes. None of them use condoms, really. So if y'all really want to try to come up off a check off a man, I mean, you could just fuck an athlete. They're really done.
She literally said, athletes are dumb. If you want to come up off a person, you can get an athlete. And I mean, she like, I think it's fair game. It's not like she's like conniving and she has this master plan. She literally said, they're dumb. This is what they do, and this is what I'm gonna do. Like, and she did it. Like, I don't like, and men are like walking around crying, like, oh my God, you tricked him. You shouldn't have to trick him. Why did you? He didn't get tricked. He literally did what she told him he would do. Are we like, give him, take accountability, sir? Like, no one tricked you. And a lot of people like these women who are this particular way, and that's fine. Who you like, and that's fine. No shade or anything to these women, because you do what you have to do. You do the best with what you have and hope in a forgiving God. So she's doing the best that she knows how to do. And unfortunately, when you have a low self-esteem man who values, and I'm not talking about PJ necessarily, I'm talking about a group of people that values proximity to, I don't know, whiteness, light skin, colorism, all of that stuff. When you think about that and you have those kind of mentality, these women understand how men like this engage in the world and how they can take from them. And that's just what it is. LB said, sir, plus means adds. Adds what? Value. I wonder when people talk about this if they realize that a child is involved. It's so depressing. I feel sorry for the child. I don't feel sorry for the child. I think that in the same way, by the way, thank you. In the same way that, and when I say I don't feel sorry for the child, I think that the child will be fine. They have the resources. If I feel sorry for the child, it probably has to do with love and caring for the child. But the child will grow up hopefully better than most people in today's society. I mean, it is just what it is. Like, they do have the resources. But yeah, I mean, to the extent that love and care is going to be a part of it, then yeah. So it is what it is. The orange pill is here to explain to us how having a degree is a plus, but does not add value. All right, orange pill. Can you put your camera on, please?
Yeah. Give me a second.
Yeah. I'm very excited to hear this. If you're in the back chat and you want to add to the conversation here, please let me know. I will add you to the stream, just one other person.
Can you see me? I got these big glasses on.
Oh, no, you're fine. I have my big glasses on too. All right, so here we go. Explain to me what you mean when you say it is a plus, but it doesn't add value.
So what I mean by that is that the value in regards to what men are looking for. Now, it may add value to her as a person, but not in regards to the value.
So wait,
what
so
a man
it is
is
a plus for who?
It'll be a plus to men. Like, okay, wow, okay, she's educated as well.
All right,
but
so how is it a plus? How are you making a distinction between it being a plus for the man, but it doesn't add value to the man or for the man?
Well, because what men are actually looking for when they initially look for a wife, how we determine like visual first, right?
Yeah, and so she is pretty.
Yeah.
And has a degree. The degree is a plus. How is it a plus if it doesn't add value?
Because for me, I determine the value is that the how like what's the name says about sexual marketplace. Like how do men judge women as far as attractiveness? That's what I mean by the value, the attractive value. Having a degree for us men doesn't make you attractive.
Yeah,
it's
but
a plus.
I'm saying no. You were saying attractive, but I didn't say attractive. Attractive in a world where attractiveness is important is a plus, right? And it is valuable to some men, right? Beauty is valuable, right?
Yeah.
Education is also a plus. But you are saying it is a plus without adding value. So I'm trying to understand how you draw the distinction between that which is a plus and that which add value.
how do I say this? So pluses for me would be like an addition to. Value
Yes.
is what, huh?
So go ahead.
Yeah, so pluses for me would be an addition to. And it doesn't what I'm saying is like it's not to degrade because I have a bachelor's degree. So I know how hard it is. So I'm not minimizing the degree. I'm just saying
No. I get you. I don't want to cut you because I feel like we're going to run out of time, but I don't want to. My question essentially is if it is a plus, how can
yes.
can you give me an example of something, and I can, something that is
Okay,
a
I got you.
plus but doesn't add value?
Okay, so here's why it's a plus more than the value. What if men are looking for wives, right? They're looking for wives, to do wifely duties, whatever those might be. How does a bachelor's degree in psychology or criminal justice, what does that bring? What value does that bring to a husband in a
All right,
relationship?
so it's not a plus to the husband.
It's a plus that she's educated, but it's not valuable for what he's looking for in a wife.
But that's what I'm saying. How is it a plus if it's not valuable?
It's a good, like, it's plus that she's educated.
Yeah,
but it's
and
not. It
what
doesn't
does
have
a
any
plus
value for
mean?
her to be a wife. It's a
No,
plus
but
that
what?
the wife
No,
is educated. What'd you say?
but what does a plus? What does it being a plus mean?
It's like I said. It's like an addition to. Like it's
Yeah,
like
but
a.
it's a good addition. Why is it a good addition?
Well, it's that she's educated. That she might be more conversation. Could be more
So
conversation.
is
Could
that
be
not
more.
value? Is that not value?
No, it's not because because men are not looking for. Like I said, what happens is it kind of overshadows what men are actually looking for. Like education, being educated is very important, but what happens is a lot of people they'll use that as like, oh well, I'm educated, I'm valuable, I don't need anything else. So my thing is that I feel as though
No, but that's a
the
separate
education.
conversation. You are
Okay.
saying it is a plus to a man, but it's not valuable to him.
Yes.
I'm trying to have you delineate for me how do you separate that which is a plus from that which is valuable?
Okay, so how I separate it is by what men are looking for. I separate what men are looking for as the valuable piece, and then the things that are like pluses in the
Yeah,
other piece.
but you said it's a plus, it's not valuable, right? So if it is a plus, how can something be a plus? And maybe I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I'm confused. This is from circular logic.
Okay, valuable for when you think valuable versus plus, think of what men are looking for as the value, like essentials. What men are looking for.
All right, so
Typical
they're
man is
not. It's not a plus then for what men are looking for.
What, the education piece?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
So it's not a plus then in your mind. So when you say it's a plus,
hold on. No, I said it's not. I'm sorry. It's a plus for the woman to be educated, but the valuable piece is the essential things that men are looking for. So what
no,
I
but
want to say,
I think you're making a very strange distinction. Like I'm okay with you saying it's not a plus because it's not valuable, right? But when you say something is a plus, it means it's an added benefit. A benefit is some sort of value. So I'm trying to see how something can be a plus, which is a positive add-on without being at all valuable. So like a roses is beautiful. It is a plus that is beautiful. Some might argue that the roses has no value. I mean, we can go back and forth on that. But that's the best estimation I can do to help you. But I don't understand how you can say a degree is a plus but not valuable.
because it doesn't bring, because I don't, because I'm trying to distinguish between plus and valuable, but I think you're trying to put them similar. But I think I see what you're saying, how plus should make it more valuable.
No,
but
I'm not saying it should make it more valuable.
Okay.
I'm asking you to explain to me how that which is a plus can also not be can be that which is not valuable. Like
okay, but that's what I was saying. Okay, so like I'm saying education is a plus, not valuable, because I'm saying, okay, the woman is educated. Let's say she has a master's degree in social work, right? That's a plus. And then okay, her master's degree in social work. What it's a plus in the relation that she's educated. She might have some expertise on certain things. She has more. You can have more intellectual conversations. She might be more familiar with things. That's a plus. But to a man who's looking for a wife, he's not. It's not. It doesn't add any value when it doesn't add any value to her. It's a plus. So how I'm saying is when a man is looking for a wife out in the world, he's not basing it off of okay, is she educated first?
But then
Like
it's not a
I go
plus.
by what men are
Like
looking
it's
for.
good for, you can say it's good for her, right? But it's not a plus in terms of her marketability in your estimation. So it wouldn't be a plus. The distinction I'm trying to get you to make is between that which is valuable and that which is just a plus. But it seems like the plus is valuable, unless you're saying it's not a plus for the man either. Like that she's educated, like you have to explain to me how one can be educated, which is a plus to a man, but not valuable. How is it then a plus if not valuable?
Okay,
Value
here's what it
meaning,
is.
wait, actually, let's do this. How are you defining value?
How do I define value? I define value as what is essential for what a man is looking for in
No,
a wife.
how do you narrowly define it like that? That's not what value means.
Well, it means value. That's the value of what men have designated as what they're looking for. That's why I determine as valuable. Like,
No. You all right. So value is about utility ultimately, but it's usefulness. Sorry.
okay, well, here's what I consider valuable. I would say that physique for a woman is her value. That because that's how men pick, right? Men don't pick. I go by how men pick. That's what I determine what's
Wait,
valuable and what's a plus.
how is a woman? All right. When you say something adds value, what do you mean?
Something adds value.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I say value for me, it's the men's perspective of what's valuable to them for a wife. Now, her overall value of herself in the education, you're right. So that's not necessary. That's not a plus. That adds more to her value, but a value to a man. Not to the value to a man is different than what her value to herself is. Now, for her own personal value, that education is true. That's her value. But a value to the man and how she appeals to men, that's different.
All right.
That's where I think we were kind of, because I'm not saying taking away from, of course, her education makes her more valuable outside in the regular world, but I'm talking about to a man.
Yeah, but my thing is, you're saying it is a plus that she has education, but it doesn't add value. Like, how is it a plus without value? And it can be, like, I'm literally not telling you that you are incorrect. I am asking you to explain to me what part of a woman's education is a plus for a man, if it is a plus but not valuable. I think that might be the best way to ask the question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So the education for a woman's education is a plus for a man.
Yes, it's a plus.
Yeah, but it's not valuable. How are you? I mean, this is like one chance to sort of explain how is it a plus if it's not valuable? Like, how is it a positive contribution that she has, but it is not valuable in that it, like, how? Like, that's my question. How?
Because her education doesn't add to it doesn't add anything to what a man wants.
All right. So I'm gonna just do this because
my thing was like
we can step away from. I think the rhetoric is getting lost on some people, and I don't want to annoy people. So let's move on and let's accept that there is something there, right?
Okay.
Now we have to understand when you say it's not valuable, you do know what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and it does. Like I know what I'm saying, but I don't want it to get that I'm saying that a woman's education is not valuable. I'm saying that it's not valuable to what men want. It's a plus.
No. Let's rephrase that. It's not valuable to what some black men want.
what some black
Sta-
men want?
Yes, statistically,
Okay.
people marry and date people who are as educated as they are. The community where this is not the case is the Black community, because educated Black women are disproportionately not getting married. Educated white women marry educated white men, blah, 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 so forth and so on. But in the Black community, there is an anti-intellectualism that we need to reconcile with, right? We know that with higher education comes higher payments in job, higher access to job, and all of that stuff. But in the Black community, men seem to not care about the woman's education, as you have just so articulated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see how that is a problem for community building?
Well, I don't necessarily know about that, because there's showing
All
there's
right, let
actually
me
decline.
explain. So, do you believe that with better education comes better job opportunities?
Yeah, I believe that.
All
Yeah.
right. Do you believe that a Black man's income is, the median income is, what was it, $45,000?
Yeah.
Do you think that is enough to sustain a household?
I do not. I do not.
All right. Do you understand now why a man saying a woman's education ultimately cripples a community, based on those line of questioning and your answer?
You said wait a minute, hold on. You said that a woman's education what?
That a woman's education does not matter, cripples a community based on the responses to the importance of education question that I just asked.
I understand how it can be important. I didn't first of all, I said it was a plus. I never said it had, like, it's an addition to that.
I just want you to answer this question though. Like, you understand when you say, because it's not all communities. Most people brag about their women's education, like generally, but in the Black community, there's an issue. So I'm asking you, do you understand how we should be focused? Let's just simplify. We should be focusing on how we can get Black men to care about women's education more than they do. And not only women, but their own. Do you understand how that would be helpful in terms of upward mobility?
Yeah, I understand that. But
All right.
but here's my here's I agree with you. But
All right, Brittany Renner has
thing.
value. This is what they're saying in Sexual Marketplace. Go ahead. Thank you, by the way. I just wanted to read that super chat before. Go ahead. Respond.
There's the thing about it is majority of colleges are already filled with women, which is fine. About 60%. It's actually continuing to rise, and it's declining for all men are still. So what happens there is what I'm trying to figure out. Women all around are still pretty much have been majority of the college students.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't see where, like I said, you know the data better than me about people marrying on the education level and all this stuff. But like, so that means like the doctor is marrying to the doctor, or what? Like, we're talking like,
yes,
so
yes.
Okay.
Doctors are marrying lawyers, lawyers are marrying lawyers, doctors are marrying doctors. Like, people with similar education tend to get married, except in the Black community. A husband's immortal. If something happens, isn't it valuable that the woman can provide for the children if necessary? Thank you, Elle. Because I mean, yes. Lawrence, go ahead. All right, I literally have 1 minute and everything is gonna shut down. So let's see how we do this. Orange Bill, 10 seconds to respond, and then Lawrence, you get to respond, and then I'll bring everyone up to do their final thoughts. It's gonna shut down in a minute. Like, I put a timer on.
Okay. Well, did you say I can go first?
Yeah.
So I work as a nurse, and my thing is that I see a lot of like the women, like probably I see a lot of women. They're not marrying, nurses and all that stuff. They're actually marrying down a lot. So
Black women,
white women too. Black women aren't marrying in the career field, but white women are.
You can see that, and that's fine, but statistically, that's not the case.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Hi,
Hey,
can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So I just got married this past week, and I'm going to say that I just fully disagree. My wife's education is an asset. I feel that in this world, you need a partner with some advanced problem-solving skills. You need somebody that you can navigate life with. And seriously, the educational level of my wife makes things much easier going down the road. Women have stepped up in ways and have filled our classrooms, and we're going to see the benefits of this for several generations. The young men that we produce out of these households with women actually achieving academically, you can't even put a number on the amount of advancement that we're going to get out of our communities just because these women stepped up, went to school, and added to their households.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, for
thank
me,
you.
that's it.
I appreciate that you came up and said this. He's open his mouth and remove all. He opened his mouth and remove all. Go ahead, LB. All right.
I'll go last. It's okay because I know the time's limited.
It's done. It's gonna shut off now, actually. So 5 seconds, everyone. Let's just drop everyone on 5 seconds. Let's go around. Let's go. I'll leave you. Kier, go ahead.
Okay, we have 5 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies, be who you are, get your degree, and work for who you want to be and how you are. Don't let anybody stop you, regardless of who they are, man or woman, black or white. Do what you got to do. Go for it.
Agreed. Ensad, go ahead.
I can agree to that. As much as I would have liked to talk to the thing about Brittany Renner, but no, it's to be honest with you. I've seen too many educated women get married to guys that are equally their education is even a little higher, or some few times lower, but actually love who they are. So it doesn't really. I don't want to say it doesn't matter that a woman's education doesn't really matter because I'm sorry, too many sisters and too many women out here have so many different skills that some men don't have in different fields that can, like you just said, that can lead up to the household in different ways to educate your child or whoever, do something for the community. So it goes so many different ways where two sides have an education or skill in something that leads to the progression of any community, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Thank you. LB, go ahead. Men and women are equally choosy when it comes to picking a wife or husband. Ladies, this guy is simply not husband material. I think you're married, right?
I am married, actually.
Nope. Period. Go ahead, LB. Thank you, by the way, Orange Cat.
I agree with what the other two men on the panel said so far, or what the two men on the panel. I'm not a man, but language bothers me. Sorry, but so I just think it's ridiculous to say that it doesn't add value because I think that every individual quality about a person, everything you possess, whether it's physical or like an abstract thing, regardless, everything you possess has a value, negative or positive. So if education is a thing in this world, right? It has a value. Are we going to say that it has a negative value or a positive value? And if it has a positive value, how are you going to say that it's not valuable to a man? Because at the end of the day, whether he admits it or not, it is either a negative or a positive thing for him.
Yeah, Ella, I agree with you, by the way. LL Cool J. I'm not going to read this out because name calling. I appreciate this, but name calling.
Ooh, and I think we should do another one on the girl that was married to the football player because I don't know celebrities, but I want to do another one on that because that was really interesting.
Yeah,
and I have
tell
lots
us
to say on that one.
on Tuesday, we could just go live and talk about it again. I realize I'm done with other time. Tell us what Black men are looking for because you can speak for other races of men with resources. Thank you, only Alyssa. Let's go. I think the last two people were, sorry, let me see the names. Oh, Dawn, go ahead, and then Reese, and then we're done.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, for all the men who think that women's education doesn't matter, just remember, you guys, it's not 1950 anymore. And on top of that, we live in an incredibly capitalistic society. You're going to need all the financial resources and assets you can get just to be able to make it through. Hell, even just to buy a house. So just, it's nonsense at this point. I'm sorry. And furthermore, this whole idea that education doesn't contribute to a woman's role, why don't you ask yourself if you can actually do a woman's role full on, have a baby, take care of a house, and do everything else, and then say whether or not education doesn't matter.
Right? Agreed. I think Reese is the last person.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. So I'm not going to argue any of the points. Of course, I agree that education matters. And I'm really not going to waste my breath on trying to make anybody who does not value it try to. You've made your point clear. However, to the ladies in the chat, I want to point out to you what is actually happening here. This devaluing of your education is just merely a spin off of the what do you bring to the table conversation. And clearly this direct devaluing of your education, which you value, is just meant to kind of play into more of the trap question. What do you bring to the table? To then say, okay, I bring my education. Okay, well, that means nothing. So just skip right past that question and just land right to the end. Let's just cut through the crap. You know that it means something. All of the men know it, because quite frankly, if you are to vet them, they are vetting you. And the other piece of this is, how else are they vetting for these women who they want to go 50-50 in relationships with them with, if they don't have an education and they don't have any money that comes to the table? Ask yourself that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. These type of guys are very short-sighted, but they are they're leaders. So yeah, I don't understand how like people are asking the value of an education. Like I literally am very much confused, but yeah. Thank you. DH says Brittany Renner's preference are aware they are being used as an aesthetic for the friend group baby makers. Who cares if she's getting the best deal for it? Let her hustle her way to early retirement. Yeah, I mean that is what it is. These men. I saw a post, and this is the final thing. Thank you all for being here. I saw a post by a man saying when he gets a job and whatever, he's going to leave his girlfriend to go date his preference. And then there was a back and forth. I think Chrissy did a cover on this on her channel. And I was like, okay, so the starter wife phenomenon is real. I think we need to, now, I think we as a community need to like actually sit down and evaluate some things, because on one hand, we cannot be arguing that women should be willing to date down academically, socioeconomically, and then on the other, recognizing the abuse that comes at the hand of using their resources for your upward mobility, and then go to date these women that you would not have access to but for the fact that you have money. So you know that the reason you are dating these women, or that these women are dating you, is because you have money. It's not you. They don't care about your personalities. So why are you then shocked when they have a child to exploit further your resources? Like absolutely, literally, they told you what she, at least in this situation, literally made a video telling us that athletes are dumb. If you want to have a secure the bag, quote unquote, then you go date an athlete, they don't use condom, you have a child, and you're set for life. She said it. Then people are upset and asking, did you use him? Of course she did. Like, of course she did. And don't blame her, blame him. Literally. Anywho, that is it. Thank you all for being here. I am now 2 minutes before the 2-hour mark, because I set the time differently. So have a wonderful, wonderful time. Orange Pill, it is you can come back and you can come promote your channel and we can talk, because I hope that
I appreciate it.
I hope we
appreciate
can
it.
save you, but
It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time.
I mean, we probably should do it privately, and we can talk separately, and I can go through with you and your ideas, because I think the women are gonna get annoyed. But like, sir, I don't understand how you have this position.
I mean, like I said, I have a bachelor, so like it's not like I'm speaking from an uneducated point who's like arguing.
Can you hold that? It's at 1 minute before you go do. I'm gonna do the after show.
Sorry.
So it'll be a waste of time. Don't do it. Go ahead.
I mean, feel free to ask me. Like, my thing is that, like, I've never. We had a conversation. Did I ever say that I devalued a woman's education, or that? Did I ever say that? Did I ever say
it doesn't matter to me?
Okay,
you were
people
speaking
interpret
very
what I'm
broadly.
saying. Sorry, what'd you
Go
say?
ahead. You were speaking very broadly, and then you made it very specific about you, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, that
Got
was
it.
to more get clarity of what I was talking about, because I think what was coming across was that I'm coming like dismissing a woman's education, like by saying it's a plus, it kind of comes off as though I'm minimizing the education piece. But I'm saying that men, well, what you're saying is black men are picking not primarily on what they want, which is more like physique, femininity, stuff like that. So that's all I'm saying, and I'm saying the education is a plus, or just say a benefit. That sounds better. It's a benefit.
I mean, if you say it's a benefit, then how is it not valuable? That's we're not going to do this again.
Yeah, I know.
I
got you.
I appreciate you all. It's a pleasure. I don't know if you understand how it's a pleasure for me to have you on, but it is. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. You guys brighten up my day. This was an extremely fun stream. I wish I got more into the Brittany Renner, but I'm about to hit 2 hours and it's going to shut down. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, everyone. Bye.
All righty.
I wish one of the kids came in so you guys could see them, but they did not.